All right, the Giants just fell 27-20 to the Green Bay Packers at home. You saw the slate there. It was Jameis Winston versus Jordan Love, but Jordan Love is going to be the one eating some cheese in the W's after that win. Sloppy win for the Packers. It was a game where I felt like the Giants fought hard, but at the end, they just did not have enough firepower to keep up with the Packers. And then on the same time, the defense, after a go-ahead touchdown with around 4 minutes left, gives up a touchdown for the Green Bay Packers to kind of take that lead. I'm Brandon London alongside of Dan Martin. Dan covers anything and everything for the Post. Dan, let's go with your takeaways, man, and we'll get into this. It's one that we're sitting here talking again like the Giants could have, should have, would have had that. But there's a but at the end of that. What's your takeaways, my man?
Brandon, I mean, that is true. And it seems like no matter who's running the show, who's the coach, who's the quarterback, that's the story of this year, is that you're going to look back and you're going to look at 3 or 4 or 5 games. Who knows how many it's going to be, that if a couple things go different, they win. And who knows how the season goes. Maybe it's a different story. Maybe Brian Daboll's still the coach, and a lot of things are different. So there were some good things today. I feel like that you could say that about a decent amount of Giant games this year, but here we are, 2-9 at the end of November. It's just, watching this game as someone who's watched the Giants for about 40 years, it felt like a Giant game. Running the ball 40 times, not quite making the best of your opportunities. Those long drives. And then coming up short, coming away with no points, just not making enough plays to get over the hump. Watching the backup quarterback come in for the other team and score a touchdown, running down the field. The Packers had their own issues, obviously dropping balls left and right. Love getting hurt, leaving the game for a while. Josh Jacobs getting knocked out in whatever that was, the first or the second quarter. And Williams coming in for him, and he ran the ball down their throat. Certainly on that one touchdown that he ran through the middle of the defense, so practically untouched. So, obviously the season is over. It was over long before today. But I guess what are you looking at? And you know better than I do. You're looking at Mike Kafka as the head coach, and Shane Bowen. I can't imagine he's going to stick around too much longer, but maybe he could have proven something. And just individual guys stepping up or not stepping up. And I don't know. It just felt like a Giant game in November, where the season's over. I like Jameis Winston is fun to watch. He didn't turn the ball over until the last 2 plays of the game. Obviously, there was some good fortune there. Packers probably should have had at least 2, maybe 3 interceptions before he finally threw on. And then watching the broadcast there, Drew Brees pointing out that the interception in the end zone might not have even been his fault. Might have been, you could probably speak to this, Brandon, better than I can. But Jalen Hyatt might have ran stopped on the route and he could have maybe made a play on the ball. But entertaining game. Felt like a Giant game. I don't know what the final stat was, but they probably held the ball for almost 40 minutes. They probably ran the ball about 40 times. So it felt like watching, Otis Anderson running down the field 3 yards at a time, and he just hoped not to make any mistakes and just to make enough plays. And then one other thing, it doesn't really matter, but I think today was their 14th kicker that they used, and they just can't get it right. I know it was windy today, and the Packers kicker was a mess, worse than Koo. But I mean, that it's such a mismanaged position this year. And it's a small thing when you're 2-9, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. It wouldn't have mattered if who their kicker was. But it's just another example of just mismanagement of the roster, carrying Godot for however many weeks they carried him, carrying 2 kickers at a time. And then you settle on Koo here, and he's missing kicks just like everybody else. So frustrating game, entertaining game if you didn't have any money on it, or you weren't a Giant fan. If I'm a Packer fan, I'm certainly not I'll take the win, but I'm not encouraged by anything I saw. If you're a team that, opened the season and the first few weeks of the season looked like the best team in the league, or the best team in the NFC anyway, that doesn't look like a team that's going to do much in the playoffs. So, fun game to watch. I'm glad they gave Jameis Winston a chance with Dart out, just to change it up a little bit. And he does what he does. He's a smart player. He does 3 or 4 crazy things a game. He almost got away with it. And it just wasn't enough. And when you look at it, if you take a step back, you probably want the best draft pick that you can get. You don't want to, whether you want to win a few games to salvage something or to see what Mike Kafka can do. But when you're talking about playing your third string quarterback, the offense is a train wreck in terms of the roster. Neighbors is out. You got Isaiah Hodgins back from the dead, and he picks up where he left off, and I don't know, 5 or 6 catches. He was their best receiver today. It's hard to make too much of it because the season's over, and the head coach is gone. So, did you like what you saw from Mike Kafka today? Who knows? I don't know. You could. I'll defer to you on that. He seemed fine, but they went for it on 4th down a bunch. That was fun. It was fun. It's a fun game.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think, because when I went into this game to watch this game, it's a game you have to manage your expectations. 1, Jackson Dart's out. 2, Malik Neighbors, Cam Scatterboo. It's a laundry list, a myriad of guys who are just starters who are out. Tyler Nubin, Paulson Adebo. But when we talk about a game like this with, season pretty much over, you're not going to the playoffs. It's a game of opportunity. And it's a game where what we say in the locker room at all times, whether it's preseason, the beginning of the season, or towards the end where you could be mathematically out of playoff contention, the eye in the sky still doesn't lie. So when we talk about guys stepping up and getting their opportunity, I think Isaiah Hodgins did a great job. I think he just landed like 2 or 3 days ago, and he was able to pick back up Mike Kafka's offense and be effective with it. Jalen Hyatt, 2 for 18. You wanted to see more effort on that last play, especially that interception, especially if, you may not think you're going to get that ball, but you still have to break up that pass to make sure that if you don't get it, no one gets it. But when we talk about Mike Kafka and this being his first game for him to show the merits, the tissues, management, hey, here's my resume as a head coach. Here's what I could do. I think he took a step forward in the right direction. Do we think that he's a front runner for the job right now? No, but I think he did a great job on a weird week to still be able to go out, put up 336 total yards of offense, which was more than the Packers, $194 passing yards, which was more than the Packers, $142 on the ground, which was more than the Packers. The only thing the Packers really led in was yards per play. You look at the first downs, 22. He goes 50% on 3rd down, 7 for 14, then 3 for 4 on 4th down. So when you look at what Mike Kafka was able to do today offensively, he took a step in the right direction. Now, again, this is only 1 game out of 7 he's going to have. Jackson Dart hopefully should be back next week. I think they need to slow play that because we're talking about a concussion and there's no need to rush him back. Offensively, Mike Kafka showed I'm either a heck of a coordinator. I can call plays. I know how to call plays for multiple or myriad of quarterbacks because he's gone through all 3 this year, and he's had Tommy DeVito in the past. But 2, now we look at the defense. Now, I understand Shane Bourne and these guys were under a microscope before, but now we look at it again to where the Giants offense has went down, scored to take the lead, and it was with 4 something left in this game. And then Packers offense was able to just march down the field and go and score a touchdown. Not even 3, not even field goal, Dan. They were able to get the touchdown, and then they got the 2-point conversion as well. January 6, 2025, this year, John Mara, when he was speaking to the media, what was the one thing he said that really stuck out and really sounded like it was a warning shot to everybody? He said, I'm getting tired of teams march up and down the field on our defense. And when you say like today was a Giants-like performance, they stayed in it. They fought hard. I didn't see a guy quit on that one play. But at the end of the day, when you say this is Giants football, running the ball 40 times and all, Big Blue wrecking crew. That's what we did not see today. And we haven't been able to see that throughout the course of the season because once again, we see the defense allow an offense to go down the field and score to take a go-ahead lead.
Yeah, I obviously the defense was not as good as it needs to be. They got a lot of pressure. Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Carter came on late, didn't make too many plays, but certainly got into the backfield
Yeah.
a lot. But you can talk on this too. The defensive backfield is kind of decimated as well. They put somebody in there, I don't know, 31 who had made 2 defensive snaps all year. So it was just a myriad of issues that they're dealing with, and they're already kind of beaten up. They did get lucky. I mean, we were talking about how many drop balls that the Packers had, especially in the first half.
Yeah.
The tight ends kept dropping the ball on Green Bay, and Dobbs, the wide receiver, dropped at least 2. And then all of a sudden, on that last drive that you're talking about, where they gave up the touchdown, all of a sudden they figured out how to catch the ball. Whether it was, obviously Watson is not, he's a different type of player. He makes the plays, but it's like they're just off. Dexter Lawrence had a solid game, but he's not wrecking games anymore. Brian Burns can wreck a game. We haven't seen Carter wreck any games. They needed something to happen. They needed to force a turnover. Both teams are just kind of trading these 8 to 10 to 12 play drives. So it was almost like whoever has the ball last is going to win. And if the Giants had a minute instead of 30 seconds when they got the ball back, maybe it's a different story because, Jameis on that last play there, he's just trying to throw a Hail Mary or whatever he was going to do and didn't feel Parsons coming from behind him. But yeah, they're a long way defensively from where they need to be. Whether that's schematic or injury or personnel based, that's what they have to figure out over the next 6 weeks now. Whether Shane Bowen is the guy who can fix it, whether they have the personnel up and down. Obviously their front is pretty good. How do they fix the defensive backfield? And just find a way to make a play. That they're lacking that. They've been lacking it all year. It's part of the reason why they, in the fourth quarter has been such a nightmare for them. Today, this is not a collapse or anything, but it's another game that they led in the fourth quarter and didn't win. So you're going to look back on all of it and be like, maybe there was a way that they could have figured this season out, especially if Dart had stayed healthy and made something of it. And instead, they just find ways to lose. And is that a cultural thing? Is that something that Mike Kafka can fix, or do they need someone who's more experienced? Mike McCarthy or someone like that who's coached in the league before and had success and can establish a culture. Kafka's got a pretty good resume. I know he's interviewed for a few good jobs, head jobs, and didn't get them. But it feels like whether he gets the Giant job or not after this season, he's in line to get one of these at some point. You don't want to let him out of the building if he's that guy. So that's what you got to watch the next 6 weeks, especially when Dart comes back, whether that's next week or the week after, because that's the team. That's who you want to see, whether they can do it. Obviously, you want to see what a guy like Mike Kafka can do when the third string quarterback's in the game and Isaiah Hodgins is your best wide receiver. That's a good test for any coach.
Yep.
But you kind of want to see him have all his horses and see what he can do.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the chat here, Dan, because a lot of people are there. There are a lot of fans that are upset with the defense, and I'm sure the defense is upset with themselves. Like, it's a thing where when you're in the locker room, you're not reading the tweets and all. You don't need to read tweets, or you don't need to read articles about you. You don't need to watch the first takes and all to understand, hey, we got to get our ish together. Mm-hmm. So as in the locker room, whether it be offense or defense, you're saying to your unit, you're saying to your position group, it's on us. So for the defense, they have these guys are frustrated right now because we crown them that defensive line, that front seven, better than the 2007. And we were comparing them to the 2007, 2011
Right.
defensive lines, and we haven't seen the same results. So, reading some of the chat here, and we thank you guys for writing in, always, kind of staying engaging and interacting with us throughout the course of these post game live streams. Peter Ward sounds like he's fired up and he's ticked off. When will they fire Bowen? Peter Ward, defense can't stop anyone. Ronaldo says, but it is windy here. Only missed one kick. I don't want to hear that. Like, there's something going on with NFL kickers this year. Something in the water. Is there something going on with the footballs? I don't know. Maybe we need Tom Brady and the Patriots for a little deflate gate action, because the kicking has just been completely off, and not even for the Giants, for every team. I feel like. Dom Toretto says Banks and Hyatt should be left out for the garbage men to come get tonight. Bowen can't teach them anything. Like, it's just a lot of people are really upset with the defense, Dan. And again, Bobby Okereke, 6 tackles, 1 assisted on the day. Brian Burns did have another sack. When you talk about the defense, it's like there's only one person. What, Cordell? I'll say two. I'll say 2 people you can kind of look at and say, these 2 guys are sticking out for the right reason. And that's Paulson Adebo. I know he gave up a deep ball, but stuff happens. And then Brian Burns. And one thing about Brian Burns, if he doesn't show up on the stat sheet in terms of sacks and multiple tackles, he shows up with his effort. And that's what I feel like this defense. If you can have 11 Brian Burns on this defense, they'd be a top 5, top 3 defense. But you can't have that. So when you say, like, is it schematics? Is it personnel? Well, me being a head coach's son, my dad's always like, we got to coach greatness out of the players. So the coaching staff always puts it on themselves, because it's like, I have to do a better job putting this guy in position. I got to do a better job putting this guy in position. But it seems like there are times when the right call is made. A guy takes a bad angle. A guy, it's a 50-50 ball. Receiver still comes down with it. So it's like not one thing you can finger point when it comes to these lapses defensively. But it is frustrating, because we could be talking a completely different season right now, or having a different set of optimism for this football team in the rest of this season, if defensively they would have got it together 5-6 games ago. And it's just, they still haven't been able to do that. I'm gonna go back to the chat here. Psalms says, so true, Brandon, on kickers. Appreciate you, Psalms. Jim Ramsdale, get a sick feeling when you have to count in the defense to make a stop in the fourth quarter. I think at this point, everybody feels that way. And it's not, again, we're not bashing. We're not, it's just, we all have eyes. We're all watching. And we thought today defensively, I thought this could have been a great chance for them to maybe not change the narrative about themselves, but at least for you, the media, the writers, to at least be like, okay, you gave up 4 double-digit leads before, but at least for today, they made the stop. And, especially with everything going on with Brian Dable being fired. Peter Ward, again, says O-line continues to show improvement compared to what they've been in recent years. Absolutely. Jim Ramsdale, again, I get this sick feeling. Oh, he already said that. And then Ronaldo also says, yeah, true, London, but man, I'm done with this season. Let it finish already. We need a whole rebuild. We got our quarterback and our running and our receiver just need some upgrades. I just want this team to win. Ronaldo, bro, we cover the team. I'm the in-game MC. We feel you, bro. We feel you. And the thing, I think it's frustrating, Dan. I'll put this on you, Dan. Would you rather them just be blown out in these losses, or continue to have these losses to where, hey, they're in dog fights each game, and it's a misstep here, miscue here, bad defensive effort there, the reason they lost. They're losing these games.
I think you'll always take the dogfight, right? I mean, played, a dogfight with 1 or 2 mistakes that we've just talked about. You can fix those, whether it's changing one or two players or coaching a little bit better, you can fix that. If you're getting blown out, if you're not competitive, then you can't fix that. Then you have to start all over. It doesn't seem like the Giants have to start all over. They still have some big decisions to make. Even with the GM, Joe Shane, he put the team together and 2-8, 2-8, now 2-9. The last 3 years. It's a different story every year, but it's the same result. They move the characters around, but the winning doesn't come. So you'll take, if you had to choose, you'll take a loss like this. But when you have it time and time again, it's still a loss, and it's still a lot of losses over a 3-year period. After the Shane and Dayball came in and had that great first year. So there are pieces here, whether it's a big name like Burns, who turned out to be a great free agent signing, or smaller names that are contributing. The offensive line was pretty. I mean, there's a reason they were able to run the ball so effectively today. And a lot of that was the offensive line. Jameis Winston, I don't know that he got hit until Parsons hit him on that last play of the game. He hardly got hit. So there are pieces there. The offensive line, which has had problems, they're getting better. So that maybe that's a sign of good coaching and development. But you can't be 2-9 every year. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So two things. So when they go back to the blowout versus the close games, I'm 50-50 on that, because what a blowout means is just we just don't have the talent. Like, we're just not there. We have to draft. We got to go rebuild. That allows players to know and understand where your team is at. It's like, bro, we're just terrible guys. But when you're losing these close games, these are the ones that eat you. These are the ones you can't sleep. You go home and you just walk right past your wife and kid and just go lay down in your room, because you think more about it. Instead of, watching Looney Tunes with your kid, you're rewatching the game tape and you're like, should I have stepped, I should have stepped with my inside foot instead of outside foot. And then it goes back to something, I remember when I got released by the Miami Dolphins, Carl Durrell was my receivers coach. And he said, a lot of people in the building think you've got this great potential. And he's like, but let me tell you about potential. It's both a good and bad thing, because potential tells you, you're not there. You're good enough. You look like you could be good enough to be there, but then also you ain't there yet. It really tells you about yourself. So this team with this roster, who, I think Joe Shane kind of gets a stay of execution, because again, he put together this roster, yes. But in order for them to lose have double digit losses means, losses after being up double digits means that he put together a roster that can be up double digits. So I think that falls more not on the GM, it falls more on the coaching staff than the GM, because Bill Parcells says, what, I buy the groceries, and then it's up to the coach to make a nice souffle or etouffee. I can't even think of food right now, just because I'm still watching this game. So, it's just one of those things where these close games are great, because we're like, okay, like some of the people in the chat have said, all right, we got our quarterback, we got this, we got that, but we're still not there yet for the right now.
You look at it though. You got Dart. I mean, they're close to winning these games. Obviously, they had some of these guys earlier in the year, but if you have Dart, Scatterbo, Neighbors today, and Kayvon, do you win the game?
I forgot about Kayvon didn't play.
Yeah, that's why they talked about it. That's why Carter was getting more snaps. I guess that's what you could say to your point about Shane getting a stay of execution, is that he didn't get his team on the field this year because of injuries, because of all these key, you want to call it the three of your top 10 or top 8 skill position offensive players, and Dart, Neighbors, and Scatterbo gone for the majority of the season. And they were still in position to win these games. So maybe you think there is a foundation there and enough young players in those two rookies that we just talked about, Neighbors, whatever, in his third year. So I can see why they might give him another year. I can see why he didn't go with Dayball right now, because there is some promise on the roster. And you're talking about these blown fourth quarter leads, and that is on coaching, generally speaking. So, yeah, that's the difference. But man, it's still 2-9.
Yeah. No, I'm with
Not
you.
too many, not too many regimes survive that, and especially like you said, what John Mara said after last year, where it felt like he certainly thought about moving on. Maybe he would have rather, but if you can't move on every 3 years, obviously, with new coaches and new GMs. So that's what they're going to have to look at. They're going to have to, whether it's Shane or whether it's above him, is this the foundation? Are these the guys to go forward with, regardless of who the coach is? Because it's obviously going to be either Kafka or somebody else. That's why you have to. They'll be watching these games probably even more closely than the fans will, because they need to see how these guys develop, even if the games aren't really all that important in the standings. But do they have the right people in place, whether that's players, coaches, or the GM?
And here's where we are, November 16th. Here's where we are, where I don't think not one Giants fan was thinking we would be at this point, and we're talking about draft picks again. Scoop DeWatt says, how many draft picks do the Giants have next year? We'll have to look that up for you, man. I know that right now they got like a top 5 pick, maybe even like a top 3 pick. But I love what Hassan says. No, not this one. Jim Ramsdale says, hope they take the high draft pick and trade down for more picks. Need so much help on defense. And that's what I'm with. If you got a top 3 pick and there's some sort of quarterback that some team loves and wants to move up, if I'm Joe Shane or whomever that GM is, I'm trading back. I'm getting an interior offensive lineman, and I'm going to get maybe either a corner or a wide receiver, or maybe even you go some sort of linebacker as well. Because Bobby Okereke is getting up there. Michael McFadden, he gets he's really good when he's on the field, but he's he gets hurt. So I think that third pick, you got your quarterback already. You have a bunch of pass rushers already under contract. You got the D-line under contract. You take that third pick and you trade that back to get more. But the only thing is, it's just like, we're really talking draft picks again at November, before Thanksgiving. And I didn't think that. Like, I didn't think that at all. And I know a lot of people at the Post that I work with within the video team, they called me a Giants homer and all, because they're like, I thought they'd be, through 8 games. I was like 4-4. They're like, yeah, right. But I'm going back and forth with everybody. And it's like, it's hard to take the emotion away from watching this team, but sometimes it's just like you have to watch with no emotion, because it continues to be a letdown. And especially with Peter Ward says defense has been a liability this year.
You thought they'd be 4-4 with Russell Wilson at quarterback, or you just thought they'd figure out a way to get there with Russ and then Dart afterwards?
I thought they'd be 4-4, and they would have made the change to Dart because they were winning with the defense. They were winning despite of Russ. Mm-hmm. So I thought that it was like, okay, we got a strong enough defense for the rookie quarterback to come in. Mm-hmm. Offensive line, I thought they've been improved. They've looked better. Andrew Thomas, he still looks good. The running game would have been there. Neighbors and these guys, I thought Slayton was going to have a lot better year than what he's having right now. But yeah, I thought they were going to be at least 4-4, and then they were going to make that move because Russ was
kind of like what they did with Eli, right? They with Kurt Warner playing the first 9 games or whatever it was that year, and then going to Eli, even when they were 5. So they weren't bad that year, but they weren't going to win with Warner. So then go to the young guy. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah,
because the defense was supposed to be better. No one expected this kind of a performance by the defense all year.
Absolutely not. Go ahead, close this out, Dan. Go ahead, close this out.
Yeah, it's just another frustrating week for the Giants, and I think I guess Dart might play next week. If he does, then you have a reason to watch because he's fun to watch. You got to watch him develop, see what he can do. But you're also probably torn because of this draft pick situation that you almost want them to go 2-15 now because you can get one of those top 3 picks, and whether you keep the pick or you trade it down, because you went through the whole laundry list of guys that they need. It's almost every position that they could use help. So yeah, you take one of those the top 2, top 4 pick, and you collect picks, but it's just depressing to talk about it before Thanksgiving that another year with no playoffs, whatever that is now. 8 out of the last 9 years, no playoffs. And this week you can't even watch Jackson Dart develop because he's out with the concussion, which is another concern because you don't know. You think you have your quarterback of the future, and there's a great reason to think that you do. But to have whatever it is, 3 or 4 concussion checks already, and then one actual concussion, and he's only played 7 games. That's something that you're going to hold your breath about for quite a while. Is he going to turn into Tua, or is he going to be able to be smarter about how he runs the ball? I know there was talk of that today about how they're going to try to get him to be a little bit safer and smarter about how he does these runs. So yeah, he's just another half of a season that's kind of going to be hard to watch. You're going to have to talk yourself into why you're watching, and then just hoping for the best. And you pay attention to how Mike Kafka does. But yeah, they're going to move on to another coach. Since they pushed Tom Coughlin out the door, it's just been a mess of coaches and GMs that have not distinguished themselves in any way. And that's a long time of bad football with just one exception. So yeah, today was just another bad day in a laundry list of bad days over the last decade or so. So I feel for the Giant fans because I know that MetLife is filled with Packer fans today, and it should have been a great day for MetLife Stadium. A sunny November day. You got a decent team. Hopefully, you're running the ball like the old days, and it just doesn't work out. And it's the same story all too often.
Yeah, shout out to the Giants fans for coming today. I thought the fan base was going to try and take over, but they matched every Go Pack Go was matched with the Go Big Blue, and they stayed. They gave them a reason to stay. At the end of the game, so that's a reason why I like the close games. I'll take the losing with the close games because once you see the fans turn their backs on you, meaning turn and head to the exits, that's when you know that something bad's going to happen, or you really are a bad football team. But they were able to hang in there. Shout out to the fans that hanging out with today throughout the tailgates and inside the stadium. So they're about to kick me up out of the performance locker room. They got to go ahead, close this down. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. As always, we love the engagement. We love you guys in the chats. We try and read every single chat and comment that comes in. Thank you guys for watching Blue Rush. He's Dan Martin. I'm Brendan London. We'll see you guys Thursday for the Blue Rush pregame show.